Daredevil Born Again, Season 2! Yes, that's right, we're running it back with a second season. If it's anything like the last time we got Season 2 of this Daredevil, then the first few episodes should be the best of the series, followed by the biggest possible fall-off. I think that this is the second live-action MCU Marvel show to get a Season 2, and a year later. No 2-year wait is crazy nowadays. We even got it faster than a certain other hero. It's been 4 years, the hell, Marvel. Why even introduce him at that point? Whatever, we got the superior Daredevil! Now this is an exciting one, because I have a Daredevil already. I made him last year, if you've been around the channel long enough to remember that video. Something exciting about this is that I already have the body for Matt. A body I'm pretty much happy with. Maybe he could be bulkier, but I don't mind. There is one thing though. His head. In my Peacemaker video, I remade both of their heads to pretty good success if you ask me. So I'm going to do that again here. The thing that makes this video so exciting for me is that it's the first time I finally get to bring back something that I've made in a previous video. Thus, showing why I think my method of making them so the suits come off is cool and fun. And not weird and gay. Stop calling them dolls. They kinda are, but stop that, because it's weird. I'm not weird. I'm not weird. Sometimes when I'm making the bodies, I do think about how weird it probably is for the actor to be seeing what I'm doing. Like, I'm sure some of them would think it's cool, but I wouldn't blame Charlie Cox if he saw this video and he was a little put off by the man cutting his head apart right now to shave down the sides. Or skimming through all the episodes of Daredevil where I know he's in his underwear so I can accurately shape his legs. Luckily for me though, I don't believe Charlie Cox knows how to use social media well enough to find this video, so I'm probably good. For his hair, I decided to go with a healthy middle ground because my goat's hairline is not receding. We just can't see the invisible hairs in the front. I also decided that this time around I'd give him stubble. I didn't do it last season because I was hoping that he'd shave it, plus I just like the cleaner shaven jaw. I don't think the new helmet's doing him any favors though. I also decided I'd go a step further and add all the Netflix injuries I hadn't done in the past. Yet another reason to be a pervert. Lucky me. For the suit, I think it's pretty obvious for anybody with eyes that this is the Season 1 suit, but now black. Which in turn makes my job quite easy. I've already made a mostly good Born Again suit before, so surely I can do it again. The only obstacle is actually being black. Ideally, I find a material the same as the one that I used for my Born Again suit, but when I looked, I couldn't find any. I went to like 3 different fabric stores. So I thought of my next option, dye it. I'm no stranger to dye, I've used it before, but I had a concern. I didn't want the dye to be done incorrectly and now my Matt Murdock body is ruined. Then it'll look bad in other potential costumes. When I was standing in Michael's, staring at the black dye, I looked over to the other shelf next to me and realized, wait a minute, I can just paint it. So that's what I'm gonna do. But first I need to make the suit. Is it redundant that I'm making this suit again? Sure. But I won't dwell on it like I did the last time I made it. That video was terrible. Watch it at your own risk. Something I do realize quick is how much of a pain it was to make this suit the first time. Were there easier methods? Yeah. But I just took the worst options. I kept trying to match the placements of the real suit seam lines, which led to it being in several pieces when all I really needed was maybe like 5 max for the base. It's all part of the fun though. Something else I'm doing is I'm using black thread. I was going to use red, but I figured it would probably look better for the paint if it was just black to begin with. Like in case for some reason the thread moves or something. Firstly, before I paint him, I want all the red parts to be done first, so I don't need to paint it multiple times. But I want to do this as little as possible. I make it look a lot easier in this video than it actually is to make this. I also think I make it look a lot simpler than it really is. I say that all the time though, that I think I make it look easy. But if you've seen my Rivals videos, then you would know that this is easy, at least in comparison. If you really wanted a more comprehensive look at making this suit, then you can watch the one I made for Season 1. but I think the commentary is really bad on that. Like, I used to just narrate essentially what was happening. Now I just go on tangents or ramble about something, which I personally enjoy a lot more and think it makes the videos more engaging, but that's for you, the viewer, to decide. But I do think I leave enough in this video that you're watching to be able to comprehensively follow along and know what is happening anyway. When it actually comes to the editing process, I think the longest part really is the script writing. Like, for example, right now. I'm only actually mentioning this so I can pad time till I get to the next part of the video that I actually have something to say about that, like, holds meaning or I want to mention, which is actually coming up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Before I paint the suit, I want to outline the double D's on his chest. I use a Sharpie for this part. This is only the first of a series of many blunders for poor Daredevil. After drawing it on to the worst of my ability, I can paint the suit. I use an actual paintbrush for this, like I did on my Namor. The only difference between this and Namor, though, is that I was painting onto white felt with him. Meanwhile, here, Daredevil is red. And maybe you're thinking, well, if that's so, why don't you just use white material? Well, if I was going to use that, then I'd make him out of black. Then I know you're not paying attention at all, because I've been very clear all video on what I'm doing. Something stupid I also wouldn't recommend is painting him. The puff paint I use is apparently cancerous, and I was breathing a lot of that in while painting this. So, I may have some sort of brain damage now. After drying, I'm not totally sold on this, but I think a second layer of paint could fix it. Unfortunately, that's not the case. I think I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board. That's no biggie though, because all I did was the hardest part. Time for plan B. So I went to a different Michaels and bought the black dye I needed. Now, to start over. Firstly, I take the suit off the body, which due to the paint setting in proved much harder than I thought. I hate it when this happens because I'm always worried I'm going to ruin the body. Luckily, the paint didn't bleed through at all. Now I can get rid of this. Okay, well actually I need to reuse some of it. Pretty much just the gloves and boots though. Now for the new hardest part, dyeing the fabric. I start by cutting out this big piece of fabric. I think I've cut out capes bigger than this. Mainly just Batman capes. Maybe like one Superman cape. Probably not. Then I boil some water and put it in a plastic Tupperware bin, of which I put the dye in. I ended up pouring some salt and vinegar in and it didn't work. The dyeing didn't work. All my ideas failed. I guess I'm just gonna have to buy black fabric to do this with. But unfortunately for me, everywhere is closed. So I'll have to make up for some lost time and do the things I still can do. Like the helmet. I really want to redeem myself here because while I like the Season 1 suit, I feel like I failed for the helmet. Like, just flat out failed. It looks terrible. So if I can do any better on this one, I'm going to try. The problem with trying to make this look accurate or detail it at all is that the helmet doesn't really have a lot of detail to begin with. Usually with lesser detailed helmets, I'm able to at least give it some detail by doing eyebrows. However, clearly here it didn't work last time I did it. For the base of the mask, the piece I cut out is too wide because when I was testing it out, the hole was too tiny for my liking. So I made it a bit wider. But in making it wider, I ended up making the front too thin. I'm fine with it for now, but it's 100% gonna break after a few times of taking the helmet on and off. That or just really stretch out. I give him most of the same facial details as the last helmet. I didn't convey it well here, but with the way the nose piece is cut, it needs to be folded in a bit while sewing to make it pop out a bit more like it does here. It's the same with the horns. Again, I didn't do a very good job at conveying the cuts, which I could easily solve by making and uploading patterns, but you'll never see me do that. With all I can do for now done, I paint him. I use this opportunity to solve my eyebrow problem. All I really did was paint the black around it, and thankfully it worked for this helmet, or else it would have been ruined. One thing I didn't lie about is that unlike my absolute Batman video, I actually will be needing this suit. I painstakingly go through it with a seam ripper and take apart a pant leg and a sleeve. Easy, right? Wrong. Since I actually need them to be like the exact same size, this cut took me like 30 to 40 minutes to carefully rip apart each seam without destroying the material. However, this was not a wasted effort because I got this as a result, of which I was able to use as a template for my black material. Lucky me, the pieces weren't too mangled and the pants actually turned out nicely. Not without a little bit of some unwanted curves. To be honest, those hardly matter and aren't even noticeable after being sewn. Unfortunately for me, the time-lapse of the sleeves didn't save. At least I got one of them, right? However, with the base out of the way, I can speed through the details I've already done on what I'm now dubbing the failure suit. You know, when it comes to the original series and its costumes, considering in Season 3 Matt leaves Melvin to get caught by the FBI, obviously he'd have a grudge against Matt. I wonder how Matt would get his suit back in Season 4. Because the one that was his was destroyed in Midland Circle. Honestly, if he just got a new suit between seasons and they didn't explain it, I wouldn't really care. As long as it's red. Actually red. That's it for the details on the failure suit. Way quicker than I'd expected. To be fair, this is edited to be quicker. In reality, this actually took me an hour. Okay, well I guess it actually was just that easy. I wonder if they would have put logos on it in Season 4. If I'm being honest, probably not. More than likely, they would just go back to old Reliable, considering they already had been using that suit for like 4 seasons if you want to include Defenders. Maybe in this possible alternate timeline, he wore something like what he wears in, say, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Well, I guess we actually just get a straight up answer on it because we see him, like, during the blip in Echo wearing that version of the Netflix suit. At least I'm fairly certain that fight scene takes place during the blip. It's just a version with, like, some minor detail changes, so maybe he and Melvin got back together again. This would have also been before he would have gotten all those suits in She-Hulk. I wonder how easy super suits are for that guy to make, considering he just pissed away, like, 5 color variants to a blind guy. To be fair, it's more color variations than Marvel Rivals would ever dare put on a Daredevil skin. But they also rarely give anybody a recolor who isn't Luna, Psylocke, or Jeff, the absolute skin merchants they are. To be fair, they did just give us this suit as a skin, so I feel like I can't complain too much. It is the one I've been waiting for. This isn't a Marvel Rivals video though, so why am I complaining about that? I guess I'm just so used to it at this point. Would you believe that the suit's sewn detail is pretty much done? Now I just have to paint it. The painting process is very simple, barely anything to do. I kind of wonder how long this would have actually taken me if I hadn't had so many setbacks with making this. I'm so used to the lengthy Rivals videos that I forgot how easy it is to make something that isn't comically over-designed. But I say the sewn details are pretty much done because I still have the batons to make. I thought that they were called billy clubs, but Karen called them batons in Daredevil, so I'm just gonna listen to whatever she says. To be honest, it really doesn't matter. I do think they should be longer though. It feels impractical that they're so short. Like, I know our knee sticks, they're supposed to go from like your hand to above your shoulder. Luckily, like the rest of the suit, I can make it the exact same as the last one. If I could do anything that Daredevil does, I'd love to be able to ricochet sticks the way he does, like Captain America's shield. I wonder if we'll ever get to see Matt interact with anybody in the wider MCU. Like, besides Spider-Man. I'd love to see him meet Cap, Sam or Steve, either one. I think it's kind of a waste to bring him back under the actual control of the wider MCU and not have him meet anyone else. Like, you're telling me Punisher qualifies to go to the movies, but Matt's just a brief cameo? Like, I'm not saying Punisher is worse, but like, come on. That is to say, I really don't think we'll be seeing him in Doomsday or Secret Wars, nor do I really think he needs to be. Now, for painting the logo. This one is a long time coming. 11 years of Charlie playing Daredevil for him to finally get this. It's one of those things where typically you wouldn't even think about it. Like, can you imagine if we had to wait till Brand New Day for Peter to finally get a Spider logo? Or like, can you imagine with Raimi if we had to wait till No Way Home for Toby to get a logo? That would be crazy. It's only 9 years more. Unless you're counting the technical Ds on his belt, which I don't. The logo shouldn't be a reference, it should be brandished on his chest. Or in some ways the belt, but better than this. Either way, I think the logo looks great. I'm super happy with it, and I hope they bring it forth with other suits as well. With the logo finished and the batons dry, I can put them in the holster and finally finish Daredevil. After nearly a month of on and off work. Mainly me messing up, but I can say that he's finished. I swear to God, if in Season 3 their idea of a new suit is another recolor, everybody's dying.
Hello, Karen.
My sweet, glorious Bullseye. I love Bullseye. I'm actually super excited to make him. Honestly, I don't know how it's taken me this long. I've already done Matt, Fisk, so you wouldn't be wrong to think that this is the natural next step. Honestly, I'm surprised I haven't made Foggy and Karen. The problem with the Netflix show characters, for me at least, is that none of them really have super suits. Like, Daredevil's the only one they really go with it for. They're all just in street clothes. I mean, even season 1 of Daredevil, it was street clothes. But, like, have you seen those street clothes? Come on, how could that? It's so cool. He looks so cool. And Punisher, who, while he wears street clothes, his vest is still kind of a costume. Like, they seriously couldn't be bothered to even put Luke in a yellow shirt. That's how bad it was. Or they were so close with Iron Fist. Just make it green. They were so close. And there's like a clip of a dead body at some point in season 2 of one of the old Iron Fists, and he's green. Was it so hot? I thought that was teasing that they would do it at the end of the season. No. Why? Are we serious? You know what? Now I'm realizing why I never made Bullseye. This is the first time he's like in an actual costume. A costume of his own. I guess if they brought back the other Defenders, they'd be in more than a hoodie, right? Right? It's not a superhero costume. That's my wardrobe in high school for 5 years. This was in the era of Avengers Age of Ultron, Doctor Strange, Civil War, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Infinity War. Not X-Men and Blade. Superheroes were allowed to have costumes again, for the most part. It was still a bit iffy. To be fair, I can kinda get Daredevil, just cause he's a man in an all-red devil suit. Like, I can see why they wouldn't want to translate straight spandex red like that. You could totally do it. With what we've seen now, for sure they could do it. But they were cowards. They were cowards and I hate them for it. Now, with the mask finished, does he kind of look like a gangbanger? No. Why would you say that?
I hopped out so quick, then I raised my blick and I don't miss. I let off 2 shots, I hit him in his shit.
For his shirt, it's actually kind of annoying. See, over the past year making Rivals characters, I've made and just generally done more difficult stuff. Things like this are easy to me now, however, tackling the MCU brings a different beast. Almost immediately after finishing the shirt did I realize that I'd made the sleeves wrong. There's blue under his arms. I didn't put the blue under the arms. Stupid idea anyways. Stupid of me to think I could do this. I think I'd do it right. Why I think I'd do it right? Stupid. Why didn't I even bother? It's just a waste of time. Why didn't I even try? Why do I try anything? Why do I put effort into anything? It's so stupid. Just a waste of time. I should just rip my arms and legs off and gouge my eyes out with pizza cutters. Stupid. Dumb idea. Stupid. Anyway, I've realized the basic pattern I do, it's fine, but I'm not really going to capture the detail in the whole way that I want to. I have to do it by the seam lines on the suit, or else it just won't look as good. I did that on my Sentry. I kind of messed up the body of Sentry. I don't know why I'm mentioning Sentry. I haven't posted him. I made him after Thunderbolts. I'm not gonna post him until Doomsday in, like, still 9 months. I'm gonna cut this part out. No, I'm not. Anyway, I think him not having his costume makes sense. I think if they were going to do it in Season 3, then it would have been after he finds Julie's corpse in the freezer, and he, like, spray paints the devil suit black, and maybe puts a bullseye on his forehead. Like, I think that would be cool. However, that would have been really weird if in, like, an hour or 30 minutes between him finding the body and going to the wedding, he's like, I'm so mad, I'm gonna spray paint my costume black. Instead of just putting the suit on and killing Vanessa. However, that would have been the second time in 2018, in the span of just a few months, where somebody did that to go fight Fisk. Which would have been a strange coincidence. I do think I would have made Bullseye by now if they decided to do that. Hell, I'd have made him if they'd given him any costume outside of the devil suit, which, you know, clearly I am now. Not complaining, because I love the way it plays out in Season 3, and I don't think it should have been changed for fan service. I wouldn't change it. I love it. Merely just an idea. Just throwing it out there, just throwing my hat into the mix. It would have been kind of funny, though, if it's like, oh, wow, he's here, he's Bullseye, just for him to be paralyzed no less than 3 minutes later. I gotta say, I think Season 3 ended in a really good place. Even though that wasn't supposed to be it, I find it satisfying. All the characters, for the most part, get their arcs that season wrapped up, and they all end up in a happy place, like prison or an operating table. That's really the biggest sin of canceling the show. We get no more follow-up on Bullseye. Apparently for season 4, they had plans that the villain was going to be Typhoid Mary, or one of the villains was going to be her, which seems interesting. I say seems with a heavy emphasis. Whether it would be or not is another thing. I don't know how many people realize this, but she is in Iron Fist. Season 2, to be specific. The one nobody watched. Because why would they? I'd say Typhoid Mary is fine in that show. I liked when she was walking around barefoot. But that's just because I'm a pervert. I like her more as Walker than Mary. Mainly just because I found her acting as Mary kind of cringy. She's just so, I guess, empty-headed is the way I'd describe it. Walker was much more entertaining to watch, for obvious reasons. I also did like how straight to business she was. I'd have to assume she's a secondary antagonist to a larger threat. Luckily, there are other characters planned, like the Owl in Gladiator. Maybe you're thinking, the Owl? Didn't he die? No, I'm kidding, of course you're not. You probably don't even realize that was the Owl, because you probably don't know who the Owl is. Who am I kidding? You're a Daredevil fan. Of course you do. He's only got like 5 villains. Me personally, I've only ever seen the Owl in that Spider-Man villain comic, the Foes of Spider-Man, something like that. Anyway, I've got more that I want to say, but I've kind of run out of time here, so here's Bullseye. You like him, I'm telling you. I'm telling you that you like him. And that's it. The ever-complicated, difficult-to-make Daredevil and Bullseye. Sweet, innocent Bullseye, whose sleeves I had to cut up and rework. See, they're equally as difficult to make. They both had their setbacks, so retroactively I think that means Daredevil was actually incredibly easy. Anyway, I am really happy with them. I think they both turned out really well. But if they weren't enough for you, I also made Kingpin. And Punisher. And for good measure, Jessica Jones. I made Punisher back in April of last year when season 1 ended. I'm really happy with him. I think he turned out well. I think he turned out so well that I don't really want to make the look that he has in his special, or whatever he wears in Spider-Man. Which is saying a lot, because I saw the footage of the trench coat. But, who knows? That could be changed. Maybe I'll want a new Punisher by then, or I'll cave for views. And Jessica. I made her because I went through and I finally watched all the MCU Netflix stuff, and I really loved her show. Definitely a must-watch. I really recommend it. I almost made Luke Cage, but I just haven't yet. If he's in Born Again Season 2, I'll 100% do it. Even if he isn't, I'll probably do him sometime in the future. As for Kingpin, I made him back in 2022 when I had first made Charlie's Daredevil. I'd like to mention here at the end of the video that there is no official pattern for anything made in the video. Everything you see here was completely free-handed, with the exception of the body, which is cut out using like a basic template that is modified in the cutting process. As always, I'd like to thank you for watching. Videos like these take a lot of time and effort to put together, so I really appreciate when you watch to the end. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.